In its G37 Saloon, Infiniti has fashioned a car that stands up surprisingly well to its German rivals. Buyers willing to try something new and looking for a compact executive saloon at the luxury end of the sector might well be attracted by its performance, specification and pricing, if only they knew about it.
Check out the company car park of any business in the land, and at the management end you'll find the same kinds of cars. BMW 3 Series, Audi A4s, Mercedes C-Classes. So many of these cars pound British roads that it's not hard to imagine a time when a small but significant group of buyers might want to take a stand for individuality and choose something different. But what? Jaguar, Saab, Volvo, Lexus, all decent nameplates, but lacking the kind of fresh vibrancy that the German brands used to offer before they swamped the market. So what then? If I were to sit and imagine the kind of alternative I would like, I'd want a brand that's fresh and new, yet well proven in other markets and very prestigious. It would need to come with customer service that would anticipate my every need and never require a dealership visit unless I wanted to make one. And it would need to sell me a product with the soul of a sports car and the luxury of a Lexus, with a sticker price that really did include everything I could want. Oh, and no one else in my street would have one. If you concur with those priorities, then the chances are that you might quite like the compact executive four-door that I'm testing here, Infiniti's G37 Saloon. The engine here is a 3.7 litre V6, a unit that powers Nissan's 370Z sports car to intoxicating effect. It develops 316 brake horsepower, which is enough to get this car from rest to 60 in just 5.8 seconds. Now that's performance on a par with BMW's 335i twin turbo and faster than a Mercedes C350. On the move, it has a luxury orientated feel. It's more Mercedes-like, matching the C-Class for grip and steering feel, if not quite for ride quality, but having a lovely growl under acceleration that no German rival can match. The standard G37 models are rear-wheel drive, but there is an intelligent all-wheel drive option, which can put from 50% of the drive through to the front wheels and up to 100% through to those at the rear, depending on the conditions. There's also the intriguing possibility of an active four-wheel drive steering setup, where the rear wheels steer to assist those at the front to improve low-speed manoeuvrability and increase high-speed composure. Now there are two transmission options. There's the choice of a 6-speed manual gearbox or the extra cost option of a 7-speed automatic setup. Now the auto seems to be a source of considerable pride for Infiniti because it features these lovely wheel-mounted shifters, these paddles, and they're fashioned from pure magnesium. The curvy lines of the four-door G37 create a softer appearance than that of its compact executive rivals, and whether you see that as desirable really depends on your perspective. There are certainly some nice styling touches, like the way that these front headlamp clusters have been pushed wide to curve around the corners and visually widen the car. Now, in common with other Infiniti models, this one has a long bonnet that has practical as well as stylistic applications. It enables the front-mounted engine to be pushed further back to provide a more balanced distribution, and also pops up to protect any pedestrians unwise enough to stray into your path. Where you do want to be reminded of just how much you spend is inside. Sure enough, pull one of the lovely satin finished door handles and you enter a cabin that's beautifully built with some very classy touches, like this analog clock, although the proliferation of buttons and the use of some Nissan switchgear are amongst the reasons why it can't quite match the priciest offerings in this sector. Still, this 3-spoke wheel feels good to hold and has standard fit buttons on it that mean you can control most of the major functions without taking your hands off the wheel. It's also electrically adjustable. The instruments actually adjust with the wheel, so that combined with the multi-adjustable seat, you can very easily reach the perfect driving position. At the back, the seats recline slightly, for added comfort over longer journeys, and legroom is acceptable for this class of car, although it would be slightly better if it were easier to put your feet under the seats in front. The 450 litre boot isn't one of the biggest in the class, but it's certainly larger than you get on a BMW 3 Series, and it does have this small storage area under the floor. Infiniti makes no apologies for targeting this G37 Saloon at the priciest petrol models at the upper end of the compact executive sector. Now that means a price span of £30,000 to £35,000, which sounds expensive until you look at what comparable German models will cost. The BMW 335i or Mercedes C350 you'll need to match this car's performance will cost at least a couple of £1,000s more, a gap that will grow still further should you try to bring it up to the G37's level of specification. The G37 lineup includes handsome coupe and convertible models, but it's the 3.7 litre V6 petrol saloon that we're looking at here, and it certainly comes loaded with kit. Standard stuff includes bi-xenon cornering headlamps, speed-sensitive power steering, electric front seats, parking sensors, and a brilliant CD stereo, as well as Bluetooth connectivity and these gorgeous 18-inch alloy wheels. Safety kit runs to stability control, 6 airbags, and the option of an intelligent brake assist system, which warns of an imminent collision and brakes itself if it thinks that damage is imminent. Just as important for potential Infiniti owners will be the news that all centres offer a free collection and delivery service, which is just as well because there's a tiny dealer network. There's even a free helpline that gives you advice on all kinds of things while you're out on the road. The G37X and G37X GT models have all-wheel drive, while this range-topping G37S has rear-wheel drive, but four-wheel steering, stiffer springs and a rear limited slip differential. Nice touches across the range include the clever iKey, which if it's in your pocket, like this, or your bag, all you've really got to do is pull the door handle and punch the ignition button to get going. There's also the lovely scratch shield paint, which has an elastic resin built in, so that minor scratches on the high gloss finish will heal when exposed to the sun. The big petrol V6 in this Infiniti should return around 26 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle, with CO2 figures that vary between 246 and 255 grams per kilometre, depending on the model that you choose. Brand reliability surveys in the US, where Infiniti has been on sale for over 20 years, suggest that nothing is ever likely to go wrong. But in the unlikely event that it does, then the UK importers have created something called the total ownership experience, which means that you'll be treated like royalty, whatever the age of your car. Now that should help residual values, which will probably be at the bottom end of the kind of thing you'd expect from Lexus. So after 3 years or 36,000 miles, you're looking at about 45% of your original purchase price back. Insurance is Group 19. If the German prestige brands do become victims of their own success in the compact executive sector, then Infiniti is well placed to capitalise with this G37 Saloon. It's a rare and rather unusual choice with an interesting collection of virtues, a sporty and very powerful engine mixed with a distinctly luxury-orientated demeanour. Whether you'd want one depends on whether you'll be prepared to stand apart and choose something different. This car then will be a bold choice for any with the confidence to write a cheque for it, but not as bold as Infiniti's decision to sell it here in the first place. Either way, confidence of that kind deserves its reward.